How's everybody doing? Let's have a little fun for a second. You want to do a little fun? Who here would like to have a few more referrals for your business? Raise your hand. Anybody like to have a few more referrals? In the mortgage business, I got tired of picking up the phone and telling everybody. They'd ask me, say, what's your rate? What's your closing cost? You know, if you didn't have the cheapest rate in town or you didn't have the cheapest closing cost in town, then they didn't want to talk to you anymore. And I'm sure some of y'all have that same issue with your business, right? People call you and they're shopping you. Well, I decided I didn't want to do that anymore. I decided I wanted everybody to come in as a referral. And so I went in this deep research about it and ended up me writing this book called Bass-Ackward Business. Because what I realized was what I'd kind of been taught in sales really wasn't the way that I saw that I could get referrals. So I'll tell you a couple of stories real quick to kind of make my point. One day I was at my office and my wife calls me and she said, Steve, she said, Jeff Foxworthy is speaking at the kids' school assembly today. I said, really? She said, yeah. She said, being the redneck that you are, I know you don't want to miss that. I said, no, I don't want to miss that. She said, well, you better hurry because he's about to go on. So I got in my car and I ran over to the school and I got out of the car and I'm walking towards the school and I looked down there and here's Foxworthy. He's coming out of the school. He'd already finished his speech. But now I'm walking towards Jeff and Jeff's walking towards me. We're between the cars. I'm going, what's my favorite redneck joke? What am I going to say? It's a world famous celebrity. You know, we're getting closer and closer and get back from me to you. And he said, man, you missed my best stories ever. I said, really? He said, yeah. He said, I'm Jeff. I said, I know. I said, I'm Steve. He said, nice to meet you, Steve. And I said, you finished? He said, yeah, I already finished. And I said, man, I'm sorry I missed that. And he said, you got kids in the school? And I said, yeah, I've got 3 of them in there. He said, what grades are they in? And I told him what grades they were in. He said, what are their names? And I told him the names. He said, how do they like this school? I said, Jeff, they love this school. He said, you know, when Smoltzy and I started this school, that was our main thing. We wanted kids to love to come to school. And I said, my kids love coming to this school. Thank you. He said, you know, you sound like you're from around here. And this was in Alpharetta, for those of y'all that know. And I grew up in Roswell. And I said, yeah, I'm from Roswell. He said, you know, a lot of people don't know this, but my first wife that I was married to for a very short period of time is from Roswell. I said, Jeff, Nancy sat beside me in homeroom from the 8th to the 12th grade. I know her really well. He said, really? And I said, you know what I'd tell her if I saw her today? He said, what? I say, Nancy, you know what the biggest mistake is you ever made? You divorced Jeff Foxworthy. He went, man, I love you. And he gave me a big old hug. He said, Steve, nice to meet you. I got to go, and he leaves. The reason why I tell that story is because I stood there in the parking lot. It felt like 3 hours, but it was probably 30 seconds. I could not get over how important and how good I felt. Because you see, Jeff Foxworthy made the whole conversation about me. It was at that moment that I realized that as a salesperson, I wasn't doing that. I was going in and saying, I got the best rates, I got the best closing costs, I can close fast. I was the one always going in pushing my stuff. And I said, you know what? I need to go bass-ackwards from that. Wonder if I go in and I build relationships first. And so I want you to write this down. From here on, every time you're at a chance to have a conversation with an employee, a customer, a family member, I want you to have what I call a deeper conversation. If you do that, I promise you things will change dramatically for you in your life. And we don't do that. Then my little 6-year-old daughter has her first softball practice. And my wife says, Steve, you need to take her to softball. But Steve, there are people like stealing little girls. And so I know you like to talk and I know you like to wander around the park. But you got to promise me that you'll sit right there and not take your eyes off of her. I said, yes, ma'am, yes, ma'am. So we go to the park. And she runs out on the field. And I'm looking around. I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do. And there's this mom sitting in the stands. So I go over there, and y'all know what I'm talking about, little metal stands at the ballpark. And I go up, and I sit on the top row, and she's on the other end. I said, how you doing? I'm not doing too good. I said, really, what's the problem? You don't want to hear about it. I said, look, I got an hour and a half. My wife told me I got to sit right here and watch my little girl. Lay it on me, sister. Tell me what it's all about. She said, really? I said, yeah, tell me. She said, well, my husband and I, we own our own business. We've owned it for years, and he keeps asking me to have the company party at our house. And I keep telling him, give me some money, let me fix the house up, and I'll have the party. Well, this year we had a good year, so he gave me some money. So I started working on the house. And I called the contractor, and the contractor came in, he started working on the basement. And then he came to me and he said, you got to go pick out your fixtures. You got to have your plumbing fixtures and your electrical fixtures. So I went over to Progressive Lighting, and I'm walking around Progressive Lighting, and I get in the back, and there's a ceiling fans. And I say, you know what? I need that ceiling fan right there. That's exactly what I need for my big room. She said, so I purchased a ceiling fan. She said, the problem is, the ceiling fan got put on back order. She said, Friday the guy finished my basement. Yesterday my ceiling fan came in, and my party's this Friday night. So I called my contractor. I said, I got my ceiling fan. Can you come hang it? He said, I can't get there. He said, I'm just too busy. He said, don't worry about it. Nobody's going to notice the hole in your ceiling. She said, I was furious. I couldn't believe it. I got the phone book out. That's back when we had phone books. I called every electrician I could and asked them to come hang my ceiling fan. Nobody's got time to hang my ceiling fan. So now I'm going to have a party and I got a hole in my ceiling. I thought, God, I'm glad I'm not married to this woman. I said, you want that ceiling fan hung tonight or in the morning? She said, you hang ceiling fans? I said, no, ma'am, I'm in the mortgage business, but my friend Wes, he's an electrician, he hangs ceiling fans. I'm going to call him. So I called Wes. Wes, Beach. He said, hey, Beach. I said, I need a favor. I need a huge favor. He said, what do you need, Beach? I said, Wes, money is no object. He said, I'm interested. What do you need, Beach? I said, I'm here with my new friend. What's your name? Sue. I'm here with my new friend, Sue, and Sue needs a ceiling fan hung tonight, really, really bad. He said, oh, man, I can't do it tonight. I got 4-H tonight. I said, no, Wes, listen, I already checked with her. Her house is on the way from your office to your house. All you got to do is stop by and hang this one ceiling fan. I said, I'm telling you, money's no object. She needs this ceiling fan really, really bad. He said, let me talk to her. So they talked. She hands me the phone back. She says, all right. He says he's coming. I said, he'll be there. Saturday morning, second softball practice. I pull up in my car. I get out of my car, and this lady runs from across the park. Steve Beecham, I love you, I love you, I love you. Wes is awesome. He came and hung my ceiling fan last night. The other day, I had my party, took all the stress off. I just really can't tell you how much I appreciate it. And I said, well, great. So I get my phone out, and I go around behind my car, and I call Wes. I said, Wes. He said, oh, Beach, man, I'm sorry I hadn't called you. He said, you know that lady you sent me to go hang that ceiling fan? And I said, yeah. He said, you know what? I went over there and I hung the ceiling fan. He said, I normally charge $125. But you said money was no object. And I was missing 4-H, so I told her $250. And I felt kind of bad about it. She said, I'm writing you a check for $500. I can't believe you came. He said, then she asked me if I had anything going the rest of the week. I said, no, I'm a little slow this week. She said, well, come on down to my basement. He said, Beach, it's Saturday morning. I'm still in her basement. She gave me $2,500 worth of work. Yes. Thank you. About 2 days later, this lady calls me. Her name's Jill. Steve, my name's Jill. I said, hey, Jill, you don't know me. I live next door to Sue. I was over at Sue's this weekend, and we were noticing she had done her basement. We're thinking about doing our basement. And I was asking her how she liked her contractor. She said, I love my contractor. She said, but are you going to need any money? And I said, yeah, we're going to need to get an equity line or some money. She said, you got to call Steve. She said, so Steve, I'm calling you. What do I need to do? And I went, yes. That's what I want. About a week, 2 weeks later, I get this phone call. Steve, my name's Scott. Hey, Scott. I'm in Sunday school with Wes. I was telling him I sold my house. I'm buying a new house. Man, I don't know what kind of Gatorade you're feeding that boy, but he was adamant that I had to call you. What do I need to do? Yes. And I learned 2 important things from that, y'all. When you have deeper conversations with people, and this is the second thing I want you to write down, it allows you to discover their pain. Don't ask them their pain. You need to discover their pain. If any of y'all are married and have a wife like I do, you understand the art of discovering what the problem is. You have to discover somebody's pain. And when you discover it, wow, it creates a wow. When you create a wow within somebody, reciprocity kicks in. And reciprocity can be a referral. Also, what happens is when you have a deeper conversation, you get to discover somebody's passion. And their passion may be something as simple as the business that they're in, but it may be something else. I like riding dirt bikes. If you want to call me and talk about dirt bikes, I'm going to quit my regular job and talk to you about dirt bikes. And you all have a similar hobby, I imagine. So when you discover somebody's passion, it's not only their business, but maybe it's what they think is fun. What you get an opportunity to do is when you're having these deeper conversations with people, you can hook people's pains up with somebody else in your village who sees that as a pleasure. And then you get two wows, double the reciprocity. So my dad's a shrink, which is why I'm crazy. And he was in private practice, and he retired from private practice, and then he got bored, and so then another one of his shrink buddies said, come down here and work at the prison with us. He said, the prison? He said, yeah, come on work at the prison. You can work 1 day, 5 days. Next thing I know, my dad's working 5 days a week at the prison. He called me one day. He said, man, I haven't seen you in a while. I said, come on over for Sunday lunch. And I said, okay. So we go over there for Sunday lunch. And I said, Dad, tell me, you know, how you like working for the government? You know, I mean, you always been in private practice. And, you know, I wouldn't think that'd be fun. And he's like, man, I love it. I said, really? He said, yeah. He said, Steve, he said, you know, in private practice, you know, we'd schedule somebody for 10 o'clock. They wouldn't show up. I'd just lose that hour of income. Or I'd see them at 10 o'clock, and then we'd go work their insurance out, and their insurance was no good, and we'd lose that hour of income. He said, at the prison, I tell the guard, I say, I want to see Smith at 10. He said, you know what, Steve? Smith is going to be there at 10 o'clock. He said, and if he's not feeling good, we just go to Smith's house. I said, really? He said, yeah. I said, well, what's different about shrinking crazy prisoners versus us normal crazy people? He said, well, I don't know if it's any different. He said, but I've learned what my first question is that I ask these prisoners. He said, Steve, I only work in the male prisons. You have to understand that most of the men that come into prison are in their early 20s. That's predominantly what's in there when I first see them. And so I ask them, I say, when is the last time you talked to your mom? He said, and I am absolutely blown away by how many moms have given up on their kids. He said, I asked him, when has she been to see you? When has she written you? When has she emailed you? When has she called you? He said, Steve, you'd be blown away how many moms have given up on their kids. He says, if your mom doesn't love you, where do you go from there? The next day, I'm in my office, and I'm sitting there in my desk, and I'm thinking, my mom knows a lot of people, and she's never sent me a customer. Am I a bad dude? Is my mom giving up on me? My dad's never sent me a customer. My brother maybe sent me one customer. My wife's never sent me a customer. My mother-in-law lives in my house, has never sent me a customer. And at this point in my career, I know what I'm doing. It's not like I just started. And the more I thought about it, y'all, the madder I got. About after lunch, I couldn't handle it anymore. I got in my car and I drove over to my mom's house. And I get out of my car and she's over there in the yard doing something. She says, hey, and I said, is everything all right between me and you? She said, what do you mean? I said, well, I came to tell you that we're not going to have Christmas at my house this year. She said, my grandbabies are going to have Christmas. Do you need some money? What's the problem? I said, no, Mom, I need some customers. She said, well, why don't you have any customers? I said, Mom, how do you think I get my customers? She said, I don't know. You know a lot of people. I guess they just call you. I said, Mom, you know a ton of people, and you've never had anybody call me. And she said, I didn't know you needed me to. And what I realized, y'all, is that the people around us don't know that we need their help. And they don't know how to help us. If you're my mom and you look at my house, as long as my wife appears to be somewhat happily married to me, as long as my kids aren't starving from malnutrition, everything's fine at Steve's house. And so what I learned to do, and this is the fourth thing I want you to write down, is paint a picture. And what you have to understand is that in the world that you live in, you talk that language. But other people that don't live in your world don't speak your language. And so what you have to do is you have to, when you're talking or communicating with somebody, having that deeper conversation with them, you have to paint them pictures that they're going to see in their world. So I said to my mom, Mom, whenever you and Dad go out to eat with another couple and you're having dinner with them and they say something like, we're going to buy a house in the mountains, or we're going to buy a house at the beach, or we're going to build our dream home. I said, Mom, if you hear that, I want to know those people. Why? Mom, I'm in the mortgage, but they're going to get a loan for the house, and I'm going to do that loan, and I'm going to make money, and then I'm going to buy bicycles for Christmas. Oh. I said, Mom, when you go to your women's club meeting and you're there and one of the ladies walks in and she's a little more dressed up than normal, she's got a name tag on and she says, Sarah, now that Jack and I are divorced, I had to go get a job, and it says Remax or Keller Williams or Harry Norman or Jenny Pruitt or Prudential or Century 21. I said, Mom, those are my favorite people. Why? Because, Mom, somebody gets in a car with them and they ride them around and they say, I want to buy that house, and she writes a contract. Then they call me and I do the loan, and then I take that money and then I buy bicycles for Christmas. Oh. And since that day, y'all, my mom sends me 1 to 2 customers a month because she has a picture of what it is I'm looking for. And so I want to encourage you to start having deeper conversations with the people around you where the conversation's about them. You see, when you have a conversation with somebody and it's about them, an amazing thing happens. Trust goes out the roof because I think you care about me. Because maybe you do care about me. If you care about me, I trust you more. If you're in sales, that's huge. And so when you have these deeper conversations, about 75% of the time, I realize that you've just been asking me questions, and what do? I say, how are you doing? And that's when you got to paint me a picture. And the better you are at painting me a picture of what it is you're looking for, the better chance you have of me being able to deliver that picture to you. Thank y'all very much. I appreciate you being here.